The only thing I remember is one time when I was really little. I don't know why, but I went and sat in the presider's chair after Mass. And then there was this old guy there, and he's like, "Oh, did you know that if you're the next guy to sit in that chair, you're going to be the next priest?" And I was like, "No way, not me." I grew up in Camrose, Alberta. One of the first things I kind of remember about just growing up is I always loved hockey. I also played a lot of golf. 7 in the morning, ride my bike to the golf course. 72 holes a day, living off baskets of fries and bottles of Pepsi. And as far as my faith goes, when I was young, I remember going to church with my parents on weekends. By the time I got to high school, getting up to go to Mass on a Sunday morning or on a Sunday night was not high on my agenda. Just always seeking a good time. And that's even kind of the way it was up till probably my early 30s. It was in Camrose where I met the girl that I ended up getting engaged with. The two of us alone worked great, but our lives and our outer circles didn't come together to mesh that well, and I think that kind of led to how things slowly started to kind of come apart. Things in our relationship just didn't work out. When it didn't work out, I moved into a buddy's place. It was a tough time. Like, I was pretty lost. I was engaged. I thought, okay, I'm going to be married. Life is set. And all of a sudden, that wasn't the case anymore. And so I think that kind of led to early 30s and trying to relive my early 20s, I guess. It really just ended up causing more regret. My mom especially was always trying to get me to return to church. She was giving me Divine Mercy images. I remember she told me, like, just put this image up in your home, just somewhere where you can see it all the time. So I did that. And then she was giving me rosaries. After the engagement kind of hadn't worked out and I was lost and feeling pain, not knowing what to do. I knew you were supposed to pray the rosary, but I didn't know how to pray the rosary. So I just put it on. I put it on because I didn't know what else to do with it. And there was just a great sense of calm and relief when I wore that rosary. Just calmness. And then one night, my neighbor in my apartment knocked on my door and asked me to come bowling. I was like, okay, well, I got nothing to do. I love sports, so I'll go bowling. And anyways, the girl that had invited me bowling kept talking about St. Mary's Church and was like asking me if I wanted to go to church with her. And I was kind of like, yeah, I'm Catholic, but I'm not really, I don't know if I want to go to church with you. Like, that's okay. Like, but St. Mary's, that always stuck with me. So I was still living that lifestyle of just always looking for a good time sort of thing, or I guess being somewhat depressed because I had nobody to hang out with in Red Deer. And so I started thinking about going back to church. Maybe if I go to church, I'll meet a nice church girl, and everything will be fine once I meet this nice church girl. Well, what church do I want to go to? Because I remember going to the Catholic church, and I'm like, well, that seemed boring. Like, I don't remember there being really girls there to talk to, or like, it wasn't a fun atmosphere. I was Googling just different churches in the Red Deer area. A few of the churches that I clicked on, I remember they said like this membership, like, oh, you come in, sign up, become a member. And I'm like, I just want to come and show up and meet people, sort of thing. It was nothing to do with God or Jesus. It's just, maybe there'll be a nice girl there. But through reading about this like membership, then I was curious. I was like, well, I have no idea what the difference is between Catholics and Protestants. So I started Googling what the difference was. The one thing that just really caught my attention at that time, that the Catholic Church can trace the papacy back to St. Peter, and there's a whole line of popes from St. Peter. And Jesus had called Peter to be the leader of his church. And that just struck something, that hit a chord within. And I remember thinking right at that moment, like, the Catholic Church is the true church. I'm like, if I'm going to go back to church, I have to go back to the Catholic Church. And that's when I thought of like St. Mary's right away, from this girl asking me to go to St. Mary's. I've really got to learn more about Catholicism because I know nothing. And I wanted to learn more. Well, I knew I hadn't been to confession in 20 years, but then as I was researching more about confession and the Mass, I realized I can't receive communion again until I go to confession. It was just something I had to do, like I knew that I had to go. I just remember driving back to my apartment and just tears of joy, like just crying the whole way back home, so happy that I had finally confessed everything after so many years, and whole ride home just fist pumping the roof of my truck. Yeah, it was just probably one of the happiest moments of my life, I think, was going to confession after 20 years. Well, it was after making that confession, and I don't know why I decided to Google how to be a priest, but I did. First thing that caught my attention was 4 years of philosophy, 4 years of theology, and I was like, nope, not doing that. Like, there's no way I'm going back to school. My 20s was full of shenanigans and parties and all kinds of stuff. I'm like, there's no way that they'd even accept me to become a priest. The next day, I think I Googled it again, hoping maybe to find a different answer. Kept Googling it, and this thought of becoming a priest never went away. So I spoke with Father Mark, and we had a good discussion, but since I was on fire right now and everything was so new and fresh, that let's just give it a year. And a year later, I guess I was still on fire. Yeah, I got accepted to seminary. Well, it was very intimidating because after having only been going back to church for a year, I guess trying to hide how little I knew, how green I was kind of at that time to the faith. Becoming a priest and being a priest, it wasn't something I ever thought of. There's just that call. No, this is what I have to do. This is where I'll find the most joy in life. Maybe that's where it comes from in that divine mercy image, is Jesus, I trust in you. And just keep telling myself that. So I'm willing to follow. Just drop everything and, okay, let's go. Let's see what today brings.